bring in Vicki Wright-Hamilton because this is one of her main topics, one of the main things that she loves to coach individuals and groups on to bring a fresh culture and profitability to the business. How are you doing, Vicki?
I'm great, Todd. How are you today?
I'm absolutely great. I love our times to talk because I spend as much time taking notes as everybody else does. So profitability, that's what we're all aiming at. And, you know, we can examine the numbers, the ones and zeros, but ultimately how we get to that comes, and I've heard you talk about this before, it's the culture we build around us that ultimately leads to our profitability. It becomes our methods, the people we have. I want to hear more about what is this culture that we need around us. So first, let's start with our personal culture. What are the elements in our personal culture that we need to have around us?
So, I'm glad you asked that question because I believe that culture is self-defined. Now, why do I say that? I say that because we all have our own vision of what we've been exposed to and what has happened in our lives that develops what we think is a good culture or a bad culture. Now, when we're thinking about personal profitability, let's think about that and what it really means. We can talk numbers and zeros, but it's about that dash. It's about the personal profitability of what you did through your life. The people you surrounded yourself with, were they the right people? Were they the people that could help you, that could guide you, that could take you forward? Are those the individuals that could help you achieve what you needed to do? Was it the type of opportunities you presented for yourself? I put myself only in situations where I could thrive. I always wanted to be learning. I always wanted to be growing. I wanted to explore different things. Did I travel? Did I not? What is that culture for myself that I want to do? How do I define it for me? Now, when we start to think about that profitability, what makes us profitable is living our lives authentically, is living our lives to do the things that we want to accomplish, that we internally feel very good about. And no one can talk about that profitability but you. You own it. Self-profitability is from within. It's how I define what that culture is of where I want to be. But first, you must define culture for yourself.
And so if I was to just give it a different name for how you're describing culture, at least in how you describe that, it's almost, what's the lifestyle that I want? What were the people, you said, were the people I want around me? What is the boats and the fancy style? I'm just kidding on all that part. But what is the lifestyle we're looking for? And then have you defined the ultimate goal you're looking for? What's the trophy that you want to be holding at the end of the day? And that can even go so far as like what Stephen Covey talks about with what are the words you want written on your gravestone. Mm-hmm. So talk to me more about let's go lifestyle, and then let's go into that trophies and the end goal. So lifestyle, how do I build that out?
So when you think about your lifestyle, and that's why I meant when I said you talk about your dash, is really what are the things that you want to be known for? What is your legacy? What do you want that to be? Mm-hmm. What is it that you're passionate about? That when someone hears your name, what do you want them to think of? Oof. Someone said your name. What is that brand, that image, that thing that you want them to say? No matter, you could say anything about this person you wanted to see, but I always saw them smile. They were always smiling. Or was it that joke? Or was it that voice? Or was it that they're always serving, giving? What is it that you want that to be? And lifestyle is culture, because your cultural environments, everything that makes up that culture, the people you're around, how you operate, all of that is your lifestyle. All of that is how you want to live and the way in which you want to live. So it is part of that thing we call culture. And that's why I say it's self-defined. You have to define what culture means to you, because it may not mean the same thing to everybody. That's why you have different cultures in different businesses. You have people that feel different about cultures even when you go to work, because it's self-defined. Culture is built upon a feeling, not a thing. It is a feeling. How do I feel? How does it make me feel? That gives me that cultural lifestyle.
Something critical, I think that we all need to ask ourselves, as a recovering people pleaser myself, who are the other voices that I've invited in that I'm shaping my lifestyle, that end goal that you're talking about, how I want to be seen? Who are those other people I'm allowing to define that ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm not the one choosing my lifestyle. I'm not the one choosing who I want to be. So I really like this, how you said it is a personal choice, but it also means being intentional about understanding who are the other people you're listening to. Do you need to turn the volume down on some people? or do you need to fire some people from your emotional boardroom?
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because I believe all of us should have our own personal board of directors.
Yeah.
And that board of directors are the people who believe in you, who support you, but they're not going to lie to you. They're going to tell you the truth as well, because we all need to have that grounding at some point. But what you want to gain is, what is that North Star for you?
Yeah.
What is that dream of that North Star that's way out there that says, this is where I want to go. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to be known for. But that board of directors are the ones that keep you grounded, that help you to imagine, that reinforce the positiveness that you're bringing, that also can tell you different perspectives. They can help you see things differently. So that's why when we talk about our circle, sometimes we have an associate circle, just people that I know.
Yeah.
Then we have people that are friends that, yes, we know each other, we do things together, but we're not really close. Then we have those really close friends that are my confidants, the ones that I can talk to about anything, that are always there. You decide who fits where based upon those needs that you have and the direction of where you want to go and how you define that personal culture to ultimately have that profitability for yourself. I gained everything out of this life I wanted to do.
I love that. And I love the decision aspect of it. Vicki, I had a critical period in my life at one point where there was this imaginary board that I had in my head, where there was coaches from when I was little, different people that had spoken into my life. And some of them were really speaking some negative voices to me. And I had to sit down, and of that board, both literal people that I had in my life currently, and then those imaginary people that were from the past, but were still kind of ghosts in my mind. And I went through a process of firing some of them, because I had to decide the voices that I was going to surround myself with.
And that is the critical point.
Yeah.
You decide what's the environment and those you're going to associate with. Some people, it's true. They say some people is for a season, some people are for a reason, and some people are for a lifetime. They can be for a season in your life to help you get through things. It can be a reason to help you learn, gain, or understand something. And then there are people that are there for a lifetime, that are through the thick and thin. And there is that long-term purpose that they're solving for you. So at every period in our life, there may be times when you do have to fire people. You have to fire them and say, you know what? I'm no longer in this space. I've outgrown this space, or I no longer feel this way. I want a different environment around me, but no one can make that choice but yourself. And so it's really important that you're honest with yourself. So, when you're making these decisions, I'm only going to surround my people like this. I'm one of those people, I don't like negativity.
Yeah.
Someone comes to me and they're coming for coaching. Do you want to grow? Do you want to develop? Do you want to change? If you want to do it, I will stick with you through thick and thin. I can't want it more than you do.
No.
You have to really want it. that has to be something that you're gaining, something that's going to mean something to you, or it's for not. So it's always important that, you understand what those boundaries are for yourself. And so I choose to be around happy, positive people when things go bad, because living life, it will. But there's a way to work through it. That's why the word of I can't doesn't work in my vocabulary, in my circle.
Mm-hmm.
We can. It may not be the way we imagined it. It may not be the way that we thought it could be, but there is a way to get it done. So that optimism, that ability to work through and to lift each other up. There are going to be days when I'm down. Yes, I want to be around happy people. But when I'm down, I need to be able to talk to those people that can also lift me up when I need to be lifted up. So that's where all of that profitability comes in, because it's profitable to me when I have people lift me up, and it's profitable to me when I lift others up.
So ultimately, if we define the outcome we're really wanting to attain and work ourselves backwards with the people, the boundaries, and so we're always moving towards that outcome that will lead to the profitability. Vicki, I hope you're a friend for a lifetime, but I definitely want you to be a friend for the next segment. And so, because we need to talk about how to shape the culture for our team and our business, so we can lead to the corporate environment. So stick with us, Vicki, and we'll be right back. All right, you two, stick with us. We'll be right back. Vicki's going to be right on the other side. Stick with us. So, Vicki, I love our conversations. Therefore, I don't want to stall any longer. Let's talk about we in the corporate. We have different corporate environments. Where we have influence. Each of us have different areas. How can we shape that culture to aim towards profitability?
So, it's a very interesting dynamic when you begin to think about culture and profitability when it comes to a business. And here's why. If you don't own the business, the outset of what somebody wants for that culture is not necessarily yours. Now, the restrictions in that is that I still have to fit within what's the overarching culture, so that I am still looked at as supporting the corporate culture. But that individuality, we all bring a uniqueness when we come to work. And I was it's just interesting. I had a conversation this morning just on this very subject. And what ends up happening is that as an individual, when you walk into a team or an environment in corporate, you obviously have your own values, thoughts, beliefs when you walk in the door. Some of them are going to be accepted. Some of them are not going to be accepted. And what ends up happening is your behaviors set the direction of the culture that you are creating within that environment. So how do I behave within this environment? Is it acceptable? Is it not? Can I be authentically me? Am I allowed to think? Am I allowed to speak? Am I allowed to own the things that are important to me? If not, it may not be the right fit. And I have to put myself in another area of a culture that allows me to do those things that I'm good at. And you have to be able to determine that by determining how you feel. Again, culture is about feelings. Culture is about making me feel like I belong when I'm in the right culture versus when I'm not.
So I like how you say it. First, understand the ecosystem that you're operating within, so that you're not a rogue unit within the overall, because then ultimately the higher ups are going to say, hey, you don't fit here. You're not part of our team. So you have to fit within that. But then this honesty of like a self-assessment, a environment assessment. Can I speak up? Is my voice valued? Do I want my voice to be valued? That honest assessment is necessary. What's the next thing that they needed to do?
So now the other thing is that, yes, you're an individual, but you don't own that business. So now let's talk reality. Reality is that the business owner that owns that business sets the direction strategically, sets the direction of where they want to go. And at the end of the day, everything we do as individuals impact that business. A business doesn't do things on its own, people do it. So our people are doing the work. So if people don't feel valued, if people don't feel like they're engaged, people don't feel like they're contributing, then they don't want to do the work. And then the business owner ends up with those things not being completed or done. So it is imperative that every business owner recognizes what kind of environment they're setting. But at the end of the day, it's about their numbers and their profitability. Now, let's make it real. Turnover costs money. Recruiting costs money. Not having people work at the top of their game costs money. If I'm a person that comes in and spends 8 hours and I'm just checking the box and I walk out the door, you're really not getting the full potential. If I go in and I'm working 8 hours and I love what I do and I'm engaged in what I do and I'm able to do more, provide more quality, more feedback, more reaction, contribute more, then you're able to make more money. So at the end of the day, when a business begins to look at what they're doing, they need to understand the value of their most valuable asset, which is people. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that businesses do is that when they go to survey their employees, first of all, you got to make employees feel like it's safe. Is it anonymous? Are you going to be caught? Are you not? What kind of HR department do you have? All those kinds of things contribute to it. But it's also the way we design a survey. Let's ask survey questions that are dealing with behaviors, not perceptions. Let's ask survey questions that's going to give us real live information that we can act upon so that we can begin to change culture where needed. We can change those dynamics so we don't lose our valuable asset and the intellectual property walk out the door because it costs the business money. So when you go into a business, when you can show the value of what you are suggesting, the value of what it's going to do to help them and their bottom line, because after all, they're there to make money. Every business is in business to make money. They don't just have a business. Now, they want to serve, they want to go to their customers, they want to help, but every business is there to make money. So everything we do can take away from that profitability if we aren't real.
So is it fair to say you want to define the value that the leader, the owner is looking for, provide that value, so make sure the behaviors and the actions are aiming towards that. But you said that the greatest asset are the people. So it's also making sure the people around you feel valued as well. So like you said, the intellectual property doesn't go out the door.
Exactly. But training costs money, right? When you need somebody to help you out, when you're on vacation and they got a backfill, you need somebody who knows how to do some of the things that you're doing so that the business can continue to move forward. So the idea of what's around you, who's around you, and how you're operating as a team is important. And whether you lead a team or not, you lead yourself. So how you lead yourself, how you lead others, how you work with others, all of that are dynamics that feed into that bottom line of that profitability. And it also feeds into that self-profitability. How happy am I? Am I satisfied? Am I doing the things I want to do? So that's why they aren't separate. They're actually cohesive. They're one another. Because when we go to work, we don't leave ourselves outside the door. We're told, leave your personal problems out the door. It doesn't happen. It's in the back of your head. That challenge is still there. You're still dealing with it. It's not going away, but you try to do what? Compartmentalize. So that I'm at work, I got to deal with work. I can't deal with that right now, but it doesn't go away. And you're human. You're human. So when things bother you, and it's in the forefront of your mind, you need to be able to deal with it. So you need to know, am I in a culture where I can go and say, look, today is really a hard day for me. I'm dealing with X, Y, and Z, and I really need time to work by myself today. So I'm going to be working on X, Y, and Z so I'm still productive, but I need that time for me so that I can concentrate because some of the challenges I'm dealing with. Do you work in that kind of environment or not? Do you have that kind of leader or not? So it's really important for you to understand those behaviors, the boundaries within the circle that you're working within. But ultimately, for a business, their profitability, they need to think about how much is it costing me when somebody leaves? How much is it costing me when I'm not taking your feedback and doing something with it? I'm not just listening, but I'm acting. I'm doing something. I hear you. I heard you when you said that. That's why it's important when we ask for feedback that we ask for things that are behavioral. We ask for things that are more factual and not opinions, because all of us have opinions. So you can do a survey and get 1,000 opinions for 1,000 different employees. We all have opinions. But it's really about, how do I make this an environment that's safe, that people want to participate in and want to give their all?
This is very similar to the your personal culture that you laid out, defining the end goal, as especially as the boss and the company defines it. And then what is the lifestyle that I need within that environment? What are the boundaries I need? Who are the people I need to make sure I'm feeding and talking to and I'm surrounding myself with? If I have negative people within my immediate environment, who are the other people I need to connect with to offset that negativity? And ultimately, what are the behaviors of that lifestyle culture that lead to that end goal that not only the boss has defined, but also I've defined as an individual? And it's still the same element of taking control, taking ownership of your environment, your culture, your behaviors, the people around you. We're still in control of our world, aren't we?
You know, the bottom line is that we all have the power of choice.
Mm-hmm.
Choice is the most powerful thing we have. We can say, I don't like it, I want to leave. We can say, I don't like this department, I want to go to a different one. We can say, you know what, I'm going to put up with this for a little bit longer while I'm searching. I'm not really sure. You know, maybe I can grow and learn something, but the choice is yours. Nobody makes that choice but you. You have to understand the consequences of your choice. You have to understand where that choice puts you, but the choice is yours. So a lot of times we try to make it feel like when we're in these work environments, you know, I'm trapped. Well, you know, we feel trapped when it's, I got to pay bills, when I got to feed my family. But guess what? Let's start working on a contingency plan. If this isn't working for you, start working on plan B, C, and D, right? What are the other things you can do? You know, what are the other outlets you can do to bring you joy? Whether it's volunteering for organizations, participating in associations, whatever it may be. But what are those other things that you can do as well? So one of the things we have to do is take accountability for ourselves and recognize the decision is mine. I determine what it means. Now, that doesn't mean a business isn't going to come tap you on the shoulder and say, we no longer need you anymore. Mm-hmm. But if you stay on top of what's going on in the business culture, what's happening in the business industry, where they're headed and where they're going, a lot of times you can see the foresight. This doesn't feel really good. I think some things are going to change, or the industry is changing, or things are happening with our customers. You still have to work on plan B, C, and D. You should always have a contingency plan. And I'll leave your listeners with one thing. I tell every person I coach, you should interview for a job at least once a year, whether you take it or not. You know why? You'll always know your value. You have the choice to turn it down, but you'll always know your value. So go out there and seek what's in the market. Go find out. So interview for at least one job a year. You could be totally happy. But it's to understand, where am I in this industry? Where do I fit in? And what is my true value?
I love it. Thank you so much, Vicki. Thank you for the time. And thank you for all the fire that you bring every time that we get to talk.
Thank you for having me. It was
all right.